This is the second part of the video for tapered roller bearings of how to install the race now properly, how to grease the bearings properly, and set the preload. So I have my races nice and clean. So here's one here. This is the top one. Now how do I know which way it goes in? Does it go this way or does it go this way? Well, remember it's tapered here. All right, it's got a taper on the edge. So if I put it in the right way, I should be able to take this and it should drop right in like that. All right, if I have this race backwards, it won't fit. Okay, so when you put these in here, make sure it's facing the right way before you start tapping it in with the hammer and the punch. So make sure you can drop that in there and it does fit. If you put this in backwards and actually took the time to tap it all the way in, not only would that not fit, I won't be able to get that out either. You won't be able to get it out, I won't be able to get it out, and it's wrecked. Okay? So you'll fail and I'll get angry. So make sure it's facing the right direction. So put that in there. Yep, it fits. Okay, so there we go. So take your hammer and just tap it in until it's flush. It's going the right way, remember? Okay. Then take your punch and little shots on each edge, back and forth. All right. Now, how are you going to know when it's all the way down? Then once you get it started, you can do this. I'm going around. Sometimes it can be a little more difficult. All right, now how do I know when it's all the way down? There won't be any give. When I hit this, there, it'll bounce back at me as if it's like boom, all right, as if there's nothing left to give. It'll be harsher. It's bouncing, the hammer's literally bouncing off the top of the punch, and you can just feel the difference. So I know that's all the way in. Okay, so there we go. I had already cleaned out the hub that the race sits into, and I had already made sure the race was nice and clean, washed off and dried. So the next step is how do we grease these properly? So what you do, take your grease. This is in the yellow cabinet where the gasoline's kept. I know it looks gross. This is the grossest part of the job. Stick your finger in there like that. Grab a hunk of grease. All right, okay. Stick your finger over the back side there. All right, actually you can do it this way. We're going to go with the big end. See, that's the big open end here versus that being the small end, like in terms of the opening. So there's the bigger end. So we want to shove the grease through the big end backwards. So put your thumb over the top. You got a hunk of grease, and basically you're not going to smear it. You got to get it into all these little passageways. So you come up at yourself like this. And what it's doing is pushing the grease into the opening there and shoving it up, shoving it through until you can see it come through on the top. There, see it coming through? Maybe you can't see it, but it's coming through, okay? Then turn, do the next spot. All right, grab a little more grease, shove it through, make it come through. There we go. All right, it's all the way through, and then stick your finger there to get the excess, and go around once more, shoving it through. Now, what you're going to do is take that and smear it over the top. So the smearing is the very last step. So smear it all over it, then take a little in your hand, be careful not to cut yourself, and smear it on the race. All right, there we go. All right, and you have to put grease also down into the hub underneath there. So fill that up too, like a smearing along the wall. Then you're going to set that in there. Just get rid of the excess there. Be careful. Go nice and slow so you don't cut yourself. Get rid of the excess. Take a rag, wipe your hands all off nice and clean. Find a bigger rag so you can really wipe your hands off good. All right, wipe them off. Now, we have to put, I've already done the back side all right, in terms of the bearing on the back, okay? But I want to show you how to put in the seal properly. You want to make sure it's not backwards when you put it in, okay? So this is the open end. That goes inwards into the hub. This is the closed end. It's closed on the top, and that's open. Open faces in. So just set it on top and tap it lightly back and forth until it's flush. Don't push it in any further than that. Just till it's flush on the top. And that is how you do that. Okay? So I got to steal that bearing back for here. Alright, so there we go. Now, you've already wiped off the spindle, and you can take some grease and you can put a little film of grease along the spindle there, and then slide that on. Make sure it goes on nice and straight. There we go. Push the bearing down on there. Oh, there we go. Spin it. Make sure it's on all the way. Okay, oops. There we go. Better make sure you can see that. Alright, so it's on all the way. Spins nice. Put your washer on. Make sure it's on properly. Take the nut. Spin the nut on till it's flush, bottoms out against the washer by hand. There we go. Okay, there we go. So that's as tight as I can get it by hand. Now, take your new cotter pin and see, does it line up to any of the openings? Alright, no, not yet. Oh, no, not yet. So, I'm just going to snug it up a little bit. Alright, it's okay to snug up a little bit. You don't want to put this on here and like, alright, you're going to over tighten it, and what that could do is do damage not only to, it's going to put too much tension on the bearing, and it could overheat, and that's a big issue. But if you have it too loose also, that's also an issue, because you don't want it too loose, because then there's too much free play. Alright, so there we go. Alright, spins good, yep. And then put the cotter pin through. Take your side cutting pliers, alright, and grab an edge, bend it. I know this is, I'm kind of covering it up here. Bend it around. Alright. You don't want there to be too much free play in here. So one end you can bend around that way. The other end you can either bend up and over, or you can also bend that. So it's like this, and then you got to bend it right over so it's not going to interfere with the cap. Alright, there we go. Make sure she's squished on there good. Alright, there we go. It's bent the two ears around, or you can bend one around and one up and over. But make sure it's not going to come out. And it's going to stay flush. Alright, there we go. In fact, I think what I want to do really quick is I do want to bend the one over the top. So I'm going to bend that up over the top. There we go. I like that better. Okay, that's a better fit. So there we go. It's bent over the top, the one edge, and the other's bent sideways there. Now, putting on the cap, hit it on the edge, not in the center. Alright, because otherwise that's going to hit the nut. So hit it on the edge till it's on all the way, and there we go. That is the basics of tapered roller bearings. So the key here is make sure everything's clean before you repack the bearings. Make sure the races are in properly and all the way down. Make sure the seal is in properly. Make sure the new cotter pin is in properly. And try not to get grease over anything other than what's supposed to have grease on it. Okay? And it does make a messy job, so this is one of those where you got to be ready to wipe down your tools afterwards, nice and clean, before you put them away. Okay? And before you put this cap on, make sure I see the nut on there before you put the cap on. I need to see it, otherwise I'm going to make you take that back off. Okay? So there we are. Any questions? No? Wonderful.